Okay, this is part 3. Okay, it seems to be still functioning just fine. Great. Some of you might ask me, why don't you wear one of those static wrist bands? You should definitely wear one of those if you have high static electricity, if things are always shocking you, that kind of stuff. That is so rare. The only time I ever felt that is like when I was on carpet. So I don't use it because I don't build up static electricity. Now, one of my employees, he builds up a lot of static electricity, so he wears one of those wristbands. Okay, so either way we go, we have to remove this up. We have to keep this nice and flat. So if this doesn't want to move up, we might have to heat it up a little bit. Okay, I think that's where we made the mistake last time, is not moving that up. And get another sheet. I have another one of these that I just throw on there. It's just make sure that you don't put too much heat on it. Where is that thing? Where is that one? Well, I don't know where it is, so I'm just going to use this. Okay, so I'm just letting the cables hang over the edge like that there, okay? And we're going to switch back to regular. So that way we can get a little bit more of a close-up of what I'm doing here. Ah! Pause the video! Okay, so we lost some. Not that close. We'll zoom out a little bit. Okay, so I dropped it. I dropped the ball. Okay, so we're going to use some MEK. Sometimes it's legal in your state. Other times you have to use MEK substitute, which I've shown on other videos exactly what it is. We're going to get an ultrasonic toothbrush for scrubbing and cleaning. And I'm going to put a little bit of the MEK substitute inside a container. If I can find one. So that way I can just dip the liquid in, or the toothbrush in. It's really strong stuff. I recommend doing this outside. Don't get this in your eye. Try to not get it on the cables either, or all over your machine. Once we loosen it up, we're going to just take a rag with some acetone and wipe up some of the glue here. We want a really soft scrubbing action because of the whole fact of that this LCD is just so thin. Acetone or alcohol work. We're just wiping up the excess. excess glue off the hot plate here. If this will actually hold that. Nope. Of course not. I have the bigger one, which I don't know where that is right now. Okay. Now we got that excess cleaned up here. Get our toothbrush wet again. Okay, so this stuff is really on there. We're going to have to use the tool, which I'm a little worried about, which is my other method, but just have no option here because this glue is not coming loose fast enough. Okay, let's try to get this as flat as possible first. Some of this backlight material here is causing it to be lifted up a little too much. Well, it's not really backlight, but whatever this thing is called. Just peeling it off, guys. Trying to get it more of a flat surface, so that way it doesn't rock so much. So there's the heat copper tape, you don't want to remove that. Okay, let's see if it can sit a little bit more flat. Okay, that was the ticket right there. That is the golden ticket. Okay, so now that it's nice and flat, the reason why we want to do that is so that way when we scratch the glue away, it's not going to bobble and create problems scratching it away. So you just get one of those cheap plastic tools, like one of these here, and just lightly scratch here. Now, very lightly on this screen. Just enough to get rid of these layers of glue here. We're doing this on the hot plate so that way it can easily, or more easily, remove, hopefully. If you think the LCD's paper thin, just imagine how thin this piece up here is. Just so thin. That's paper thin up there. I don't even know how they print and attach cables to this paper thin screen, but they do. Samsung keeps on making interesting product. If you get any thinner than this, is going to make it much more of a challenge to repair in the future. I'm afraid they're going to keep on getting thinner. It's like, why don't they just put the flexible display in this one? be so much easier. Okay. So this MEK substitute is supposed to remove the glue real well, right? Well, it's not removing the glue. So, you know, your typical LCD glue remover is not going to work on this. You just have to work really hard on it, unfortunately. Lots of scrubbing. Okay, now we've got down to a much lower layer. Here, I'm going to take the rag and try to scrub some up. Just make sure that cable's floating on the other side of the hot plate there. So I just dip my rag into the MEK here. I'm just trying to hopefully get something scrubbed out here, but jeez, it's not coming. That's some really bonded material there. It's much harder than normal OCA. Hello.